New tonight, you ever drive by something and you wonder, well, that's kind of cool, but what is the deal with that? What is it? Why is it there? Well, I was on my way out to West Texas and then Mexico when I saw a whole bunch of these. Turns out I wasn't the only one stopping to take a closer look.
As I'm driving up, I saw the yellow and, you know, inquiring minds want to know what's the yellow, and sunflowers. Ah, how glorious.
A few weeks ago, these fields full of sunflowers in bloom just west of San Antonio were an awesome photo op. Just south of Highway 90 near Castroville, there are 500 acres of these.
Sunflowers are the happiest flower in the world.
But I had to drive on before I could find out who was growing these or just what happens to them. So this week, I went back.
They look real pretty, but if you take them home and put them in a vase, they make a big mess. They're not a rose.
I talked with Alan Zinsmeyer, as right now he's harvesting the sunflower crop he planted back in February. His family's been farming here for more than 100 years, mostly corn and cotton. And he knows what can hide in these beauties.
There's head moths, there's certain kinds of worms in them. Sometimes there's stink bugs, some beetles, and sometimes ants. I mean, there's a variety of bugs.
So they're photogenic.
Yeah, I take pictures, but cutting them down is probably not always in your best interest.
About 10 years ago, Zinsmeyer started putting some of the acres they usually plant in corn or cotton into what's called confection sunflowers. That means the kind you can eat the seeds of directly. That's different than the oil sunflowers. They have smaller seeds that are either processed into oil or meal or birdseed.
Confection sunflower. And what this machine will do, it'll cut the head off, and then it'll thresh it, and it'll put just the seeds in the grain tank.
Most sunflowers are actually grown in the upper Midwest in the Dakotas, but dry weather and drought here means you may see more and more of this cousin of the wild sunflower.
Well, we had picked them when we were little kids. How to pull them and pull the weeds out of the fields, you know, and the weeds were all sunflowers, so we weren't really too happy about it, but we were in a situation, we started planting them to where none of the, you know, had been a long drought, and none of the other crops were yielding enough to, you know, our return on investment was close to zero, so we started planting sunflowers. The inputs were low, and they take quite a bit less water, so on a year when there's limited amount of irrigation or limited amount of rainfall, sunflowers is a pretty fair crop for us.
And this year they did have to irrigate before they planted, but then the rain we had helped, and they're doing pretty well. They can now plant another crop of something in this same field this year, maybe corn or more sunflowers, but they don't usually plant sunflowers 2 years in a row, so if you see them, get your pictures quick.
It does make me happy. Absolutely. It looks like the sun. Look at it. Glorious. Glorious.
And this is a dried sunflower.
And it sounds like it, too.
These are just packed with, I don't know if you can
Yeah, these are all seeds.
These are all
such
seeds
a great...
right here. They're not hulled yet, like you can get them. You can buy them either way. It's not roasted or salted either.
But they're good.
These are what they end up with. They sell them as kernels. This is a company, sunflowers.They actually, the closest processing plant's in Kansas City. They sell them to Minnesota. They'll go up to Minnesota on a truck.
We tried these earlier, and they're very good.
Yeah, you want to get rid of the husk maybe, but they are still pretty good.
Yeah, very good. That's so neat. I don't think many people have seen what the seeds look like in the flower. I didn't either.
Yeah. Good stuff. I've seen that on Highway 90 all the time, and it's just, you got to get there at the right time, though. Now I know. Now I know more than I knew a couple of weeks ago when I saw that stuff out there. That's great. Hey, we've got ourselves a pretty good forecast for the first half of the weekend.